Hello and welcome to the 99th Monkey News, formerly known as the 50-cent tour of the day. The day is Tuesday, October 29th, 2013, and I hope that it is a pleasant one for you up to this point. I am beginning with a tweet today. I couldn't find anything to substantiate this, but I think that it is really very much worth mentioning. Tweet from Max Keiser. Source: more than 30% of revenues for Facebook, Google, and LinkedIn are government-sponsored click fraud payola for spy info. 30%. If you could start a business and you had a projection in your business plan, and you had a way to be guaranteed 30% of your projected revenues, that would just be incredible. That would be, I mean, you'd start a business based on that, and you would find it pretty easy probably to get funding too, to get business loans, to enact that business plan. This is a lot of money. That's what I'm trying to say. These companies are making this from the government so that they can spy on us. I mean, there's this horrible wheel here, this cycle of skimming off our resources for some is going to basically enslave us. It's quite. I was astonished when I read this tweet, and I think it's significant. Maybe we can soon hear some verification of that from Max Keiser. This is from David Icke. This former driver charged with sex offenses as part of the investigation triggered by allegations of abuse against Jimmy Saville has been found dead. I guess that's probably convenient for some people. Moving into some financial news. From Zero Hedge, guest post, System Reset 2014 to 2015. And this is submitted by Charles Hugh Smith of Two Minds blog. The quote is, "The global financial system will reset in 2014 to 2015, regardless of official pronouncements." And I had an article, I think it was last week, that a global financial reset is anticipated. I think that was from Max Keiser. It was a video from Max Keiser. So this is something that is looming in the wings, and it's great to be prepared for financial collapse and collapse of the system, because that may well happen as a bridge to this reset. But it appears that there are plans to breathe new life into, well, not new life into the old system, to hit the reset button and have a new system. Hopefully one with asset-backed currencies. Another article from Zero Hedge, Nasdaq breaks again, data feed not disseminating. Trading halted in SOX, OSX, and HGX options. So this was a brief halt. I don't think it lasted very long. Maybe, I think it looks like about 5 minutes. But it's interesting because I have heard people state that when there is a global financial reset, they will have everything, all the systems will have to be tested. And somebody suggested the last time the Nasdaq went down that perhaps these systems were being tested in preparation for a reset. I want to move into a brief discussion of government, the function of government, just because ours has departed so far from its intended purpose. This is a website I just found. I did a search for the consent of the governed. The website is Liberty Physics. The consent of the governed. The Declaration of Independence says, in part, to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. And what is happening in our country, in America, in these times, there's an incredible departure from this principle, that so much is being done by our government. Actually, not only not by our consent, but actually in almost direct opposition to the expressed will of the people. And government in our country is acting against the good faith and will of the people. And they're losing their charter. I mean, their charter is based on deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. And that is the American people. And this morning I heard some things, and I was thinking a little bit about how people have, there's an effort to destroy the Tea Party. And the Republicans tried to co-opt the Tea Party, and Alex Jones was talking about that this morning, how the Republicans tried to co-opt the Tea Party and failed. Because the Tea Party principles are essentially libertarian principles, constitutional libertarian principles. So now the big effort is to destroy the Tea Party. So I did a search. I just used Startpage and searched for destroy Tea Party. There is so much such an interesting balance here that I wanted to actually show the search results. Now, you know, here is people that folks like I am and like you probably are would tend to agree with this position. Destroy the Tea Party. Why must the Tea Party and patriots be destroyed? We are the only vestige of liberty, standing up to the complete implementation of tyranny. So I was going to just use one of those pages as a basis for discussion about this, but I decided to show all the search results because look at okay, the Tea Party adds the GOP to its list of enemies to be destroyed. Well, I did. Did we do that? I mean, and I'm not even a Tea Party member actually, but I believe that the Tea Party ideals are fundamentally ideals that I also embrace. Does being raised evangelical destroy your brain? And this is why the Tea Party evangelical right learned nothing post-shutdown. As if, well, what were we supposed to learn? I mean, you know, the shutdown was, I'm beginning to really wonder whether the shutdown was contrived, and it's great that what we think of as those, you know, Republican heroes, Rand Paul and Ted Cruz, yeah, they stood up for us, but, you know, they also helped to create this idea that I believe was intentionally crafted, that the Tea Party and the right are to be blamed for the problems of government related to the shutdown. And, you know, Obamacare wasn't adequately funded because of the right, and that's why it doesn't work. And then there's, you know, that the Tea Party is being set up as the responsible party for all the ills in America, and it's deception. But some of these headlines are evidence of how the Tea Party is in the sights of a lot of people trying to take it down. Here's the Tea Party's own hate will eat it alive. Who do we hate? Do you hate people? I don't hate people. I mean, I hate tyranny, but that's kind of a broad. I don't even hate tyrants necessarily. It's these principles and the embodiment of evil. I mean, I don't like evil. I don't like wickedness. But enough said, I guess about this. I just wanted to show this attitude, and I'm sure you're all aware of it. And I'm not sure how to overcome it, but maybe we should be encouraged, because this is evidence also that we are a genuine threat to the establishment and to the tyrants. So be encouraged, right? I hadn't mentioned this before, and it's from a few days ago. Well, actually, this John Rappaport wrote about it yesterday. Sebelius, I don't work for the people who want me to resign. And again, this attitude, these people have evidently forgotten that their powers are derived from the consent of the governed. And that is in the Declaration of Independence, one of the foundational documents for liberty in this country, for the way government is established in this country. And it's shocking, really. And I'm really wondering when we are finally going to, as the American people, just say, well, you don't have our consent. Here's another stunner, really. I think we become so accustomed to some of this news that we're no longer impacted. And I'm almost wondering whether liberty people should just, alternative news people should just embrace one idea and just hammer it, hammer it, hammer it, hammer it, hammer it. Because I think people are overwhelmed, and it's difficult to process so much information that's coming out every single day about how our liberties are being taken away and how our country is being humiliated, really. United Nations to take over the Alamo. And this is from InfoWars. UN flag may fly above the Shrine of Liberty if designated as a World Heritage Site. So evidently, according to what was stated, within 100 miles of one of these shrines, World Heritage Site, United Nations law is in force. So effectively, we would be surrendering any of these regions to United Nations control. And the mission in that's near the Alamo was mentioned as well. And I'm thinking of all the missions in California. If the missions in California were to be declared World Heritage Sites, that would mean effectively all of California up to about Sonoma, and of course 100 miles north, because if it's within 100 miles, virtually all of California would be placed under United Nations control. And this is a big if the missions were declared World Heritage Sites. But where would this stop? I mean, once it began, there is no logical stopping point. We in the United States have a lot of significant world historical sites. So this is a way that the United Nations effectively could, in theory, take over huge regions of this country. Here is more information about the Tea Party, and this is one article that I decided to include in the news. Army names Christians and Tea Party as a terror threat. And this is the article, this is one of the articles about what has actually been told based on witness accounts to Army members that they are not supposed to give money to evangelical Christian groups or the Tea Party, or they could be court-martialed. So astonishing as that is, just more evidence that we are being specifically singled out. And here's another article, the Tea Party Tribune. Soldiers, Army warns of punishment for donations to Tea Party and Christian groups. one thing that I really want to emphasize here, and in mentioning that, maybe we should just choose one topic and really hammer it. What has been done here? Army warns of punishment for donations to Tea Party and Christian groups. This breaches so many of our guaranteed rights, our rights guaranteed by the Bill of Rights. This is the free practice of religion is breached. Privacy is breached. I mean, how are they going to know that somebody gave a donation to Tea Party or a Christian group? And it breaches the right to free speech. I mean, we're allowed to choose what we want to do with our money, right? Isn't that just a basic human freedom that's guaranteed us by the Constitution, by the Bill of Rights in this country? And I'd like to, all of these things, everybody sort of knows that Obama and his administration are responsible for so many, the gun walkers, which is part of Fast and Furious, Benghazi, so many of these horrors that have been perpetrated. But there's not an official investigation. We are going to find out who ordered these men in the Army to warn of punishment for donations to Tea Party and Christian groups. Who did it? Who did it? Because this is contrary to law. This is a breach of the good faith and will of the American people. In every respect, this is wrong. And, it's not only Christians or Tea Partiers who are affected by this. If this is allowed to go by, then any group, any person, any ideology can be targeted in this same way. And we will lose our identity effectively. And this is wrong. What I really want to emphasize, this is wrong. It's not lawful. It's treachery. It's a breach of faith. It is contrary to the will of the governed, the consent of the governed. And it's illegitimate. And whoever did this, and I don't hate Obama. I'm not saying Obama did this, but whoever released this edict told people to do this, told leaders in the Army to make these kind of announcements, these kind of warnings, needs to give account. And here from RT, NSA stores data to target any citizen at any time. And that's from Greenwald. And we put this hand in hand with the targeting of people for their beliefs, for their religious practices, for their political ideologies. This is disastrous. It's completely disastrous. Somebody needs to give account, and it needs to be ended. And from Paul Craig Roberts, ignored reality is going to wipe out the human race. And I'll just read a couple sentences here. To inform people is hard slugging. Everything is lined up against the public being informed, or the policymakers for that matter. News is contaminated by its service to special interests and hidden agendas. Many scientists or their employers are dependent on federal money. And it goes on, there is ignored reality. I mean, anybody who's not perking up their ears to, wait, what? Guys in the Army were told that they can't share the gospel with people? What? Guys in the Army were told that they can't give money to evangelical churches? What? Until people begin to, I wouldn't even use the term awaken as much, although that is relevant and it's accurate, but there's so much denial It's so much easier in many respects to ignore some of the things that are going on than to deal with them because they're so overwhelming. But and that's why sometimes I wonder if alternative news liberty people should pick a topic and everybody echo that sentiment, that ideology, that topic until people get it. I don't know what it would take for people to become aware, for the general population of America to become aware of how dangerous and threatening and out of control our government has become. And you know, I typically don't use those kinds of words. I typically don't talk that way. I typically don't think that way. But something needs to push hard enough so that we can affect change, so that we can stand up and say, you do not have my consent to do this. Therefore, you have no power, because your power is derived from my consent. Here from Natural News, DuPont sued multiple times as court-backed science panel finds chemical C8 used in Teflon is linked to cancer. If you're still using Teflon pans, God help us, you know, throw them out. Go find some nice, if you can't afford to get new ones, just go to some secondhand shop and look for the old Revereware stainless steel. Try to avoid aluminum too. I mean, it just stands to reason. You heat something up, it's going to release whatever it is into whatever it contains. So if you can find it another way, you know, maybe some old cast iron skillets that you've put in your attic 20 years ago, get them out, clean them off, and ditch the Teflon. And at first glance, this may not look like good news, but this is our good news of the day. Another article from Natural News. Before 1940, more than 85% of the U.S. population used drugless healers. Why is that good news? That's good news because, you know, people were reasonably healthy then. And if we can get back to using drugless healers, my father grew up in the South, and their family doctor was a chiropractor. And he used to tell us that when we were kids, and we would laugh, but chiropractors are effective healers. Naturopaths are effective healers. And the interesting thing about Obamacare is I think it would be great if people just became disgusted with the healthcare system and started to seek natural healing, because seeking it, they will find it and be better off than with their drugs, their pharmaceuticals. So with that happy thought of being better off with natural healers, thank you for tuning in for today's news. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Hoping that you will love one another, take care, and insist on liberty. Your consent is the place from where the just powers of government are derived.